I would also say, though, that there's very little disagreement within the Russian policymaking circles on missile defense. You can say that the defenses in Poland and the Czech Republic don't threaten the Russian deterrent, but there is nobody in Russia who is going to believe that. And, you know, you could argue that it's become a matter of faith. You could argue that it was always that. You could argue that they have alternative explanations, curvature of the Earth, etc., that lend some credence to their case. It doesn't actually matter. It's there. We have to accept it. And there is a linkage for arms control between missile defense and strategic arms. There are probably ways to finesse it, and I think cooperation on missile defense between the U.S. and Russia is a very important way to finesse it. Broader cooperation within Europe is an important way to finesse it. But we're not getting away from the linkage. It's there, and it's their position. And the best you can hope for is that the only way to get away from it is that the treaty numbers keep everybody so high that the Russians feel they're not threatened. But you know what? Honestly, we don't want numbers that high, and neither do they. They'd have to build up to them, and that's not a way they want to spend their money. So.
Other questions? We've come to the. Oh, we have one more question.
It's very short, briefly. Mubain Altan from Crimean Tatar Research and Information Center. As Crimean Tatars were trying to resettle in their ancestral homeland for the past 65 years, they are closely watching and monitoring the Ukrainian-Russian relations. As you well know, one of the biggest bone of contention is the Black Sea location of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. There are several articles been circulating in the internet recently, which states that the Medvedev government announced by 2016 the Black Sea Fleet will be relocated to Novorossiysk, and they are getting ready for it. Any comments on that?
Well, by treaty with Ukraine, they have to do that. The treaty with Ukraine says that by 2017, the Russian fleet will leave Sevastopol, which is part of Ukraine's territory. However, there are significant political actors in Russia who refuse to accept this and have constantly sought to raise the issue of Crimea as a Russian city. And for that, and there are elements in the government that are cooperating with them, Putin among them. For example, right after he met with President Obama, he changed into this all-black outfit with aviator shades and had a meeting with a Russian biker group called Night Wolves. And he gave them a kind of political blessing for their summer trip, which is going to be a biker move down to Sevastopol to celebrate the 65th anniversary of its liberation from the Nazis, the subtext being that Sevastopol is really a Russian city. So this could become a kind of pressure point, but on the law, as far as the international treaty with Ukraine goes, Moscow has to be out of there by 2017, and the 1994 treaty with Russia, U.S., and Ukraine states that all three states recognize the integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, and that includes Crimea. So legally, they don't have a leg to stand on.
And I don't think they're going to try to stand on it. It is up to Ukraine whether Russia's Black Sea Fleet stays or goes, and the treaty says it goes, right? I mean, if the Russians want to revisit that, they have to revisit that with Ukraine. They can't revisit it on their own.
The Black Sea Fleet is in the wrong location. Sevastopol is a tremendous world port. It's a good place to base the Black Sea Fleet if you're concerned about Western military forces coming through the Bosporus into the Black Sea to attack Russia or Soviet Union before. If strategic calculus of Russia today is that the most important interest it has is protecting energy flows coming out of the Caspian and Russia through the Russian port of Novorossiysk and through Georgia, either to a Georgian port or the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline or a future Nabucco gas pipeline, then the fleet's in the wrong place. It should be further east. My guess is that only part of the Black Sea Fleet will go to Novorossiysk. It is an inhospitable port because of sea state activity, and part of the Black Sea Fleet will go to Ochimchira in Abkhazia, which I believe is a key strategic reason why the Russians want to take Abkhazia for good. They want to intimidate Georgia and protect their own Caspian export routes. You know, from a geo-economic standpoint, one could argue that the three largest sources of energy in the world are the Persian Gulf, Western Siberia, and the Caspian. Today, Russia controls one of the three. If it were to take effective control over Georgia, either by invading it or by controlling sea lines of communication to Georgia, or having ways to intimidate the pipelines, and Russian forces are located only a few kilometers from the pipelines now after the invasion last summer, then Russia's strategic interest is to move that fleet to the east. So I think they're not going to challenge Ukraine for a very sound strategic reason. Our time apparently is up. Thank you very much. This has been a very enlightening discussion. You all have been terrific. Appreciate it. Thank you.